Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. Today I have the 1,000+ round review of the Radical Defense Mk1 Mod 1 AR pistol, short barrel rifle, whatever you want to call it. Let's get into it. So a couple things really quick. Number one, I am not in one of my normal spots, and there are a couple of shooting spots very, very close to me. So if I get drowned out by some gunfire, let's just celebrate the freedom and work on your lip reading. Number two, Radical Defense did send this out to me. They sent it out to me. I worked out something with them from SHOT Show last year, and I've already done a initial impressions video of it. I'm going to refer to that. It'll link down below. Because I'm not going to go over all the full specs in this video for the sake of time. But they did send this out to me. I've already done one video on this rifle. But as you guys probably well know if you follow the channel, getting something for free does not change my attitude or decisions or opinion on a particular product. For this video, I want to go over my experience with this over the last 1,000 rounds and some of the standout features that I think it has above a lot of mil-spec style rifles. So let's start with how it shoots. So first, it's been 100% reliable with various types of ammo since I've gotten it. And I have run this thing very, very hard. And I think I've oiled it once. And that was only because it was getting really cool and cold out that night, and the amount of sludge and crap that was in this bolt carrier group just needed a little TLC. It was starting to get too thick to run. Now this has quickly become one of my favorite rifles to shoot, one that I think I am going to rely on, one I'm going to label as one of my go-to rifles, in fact. It's just been such a good shooter. Now the longer I shoot it, the more I like shooting it. The recoil impulse on this thing is amazing. It stays just super flat, and it has less kick than that last girl that you tried to chloroform in order to get a date with her. But I mean, this thing is really just a flat shooter and has very little recoil impulse. Even when I'm almost not shouldering it in like a tripod and just pulling the trigger, it just barely rocks the tripod. And when I really bear into it, I don't feel anything. I mean, it's a really well-tuned rifle. So other than the pin and welded dual port brake from Reardon that Radical Defense put on for me at their manufacturing facility, and some of the accessories being, of course, this B5 Systems grip, the Streamlight, and the SIG Romeo 7, everything else is the way it came. So the B5 furniture, this handguard, everything is the way it came, the trigger, bolt carrier group, all that. Now, a few of the standout features with this thing is, number one, the trigger. The trigger is kind of a mil-spec trigger, but it's lighter and has a far smoother break than normal mil-spec triggers. Now, this being a duty rifle, Radical Defense is the duty line, the service military police line of Radical Firearms. You may be familiar with Radical Firearms because you've seen Radical Rifle on my channel probably hundreds of times at this point, if not many dozens of times, because the most, probably up until this year, for the last few years, every time you saw a rifle optic review or a drop test or a scope test, it was done on my old Radical Firearms RF-15. So when I got a chance to work with Radical Defense, I really, hopped on that opportunity. Anyway, this being a duty rifle, I understand the mil-spec trigger versus something that's the drop-in really, really light triggers. But this, for a mil-spec trigger, is a really, really usable and lighter than mil-spec trigger. Now, I have not put a gauge on it, but that's a good reset. And probably, I don't know, a 6-pound trigger pull. It's not much, but it's real smooth. It's real smooth. Any weight that it has is made up with a really smooth break. Now the B5 furniture is always good. B5 makes great stuff, but it also has this this Battle Arms Development charging handle, gas busting charging handle. I've shot this a ton with a suppressor on it, and I don't have any gassing issues, even though the Otter Creek polonium that I normally use is kind of a high back pressure, high gas suppressor. Now the ambi safety is nice, both sides here. The ambi safety is nice, has pretty standard controls everywhere else. And then you get up to the handguard. It has a really, really nice tombstone lockup on this handguard here on the clamping portion. But then on the top, as I mentioned in another video, it has an anti-rotation tab milled into the very top, and I'll be rolling over a picture of it here. And it sort of fits in like a puzzle piece. So not only does this thing have a rock solid lockup here, there is no way this thing's going to rotate even the slightest bit left to right if you say have a laser aiming module on it. So accuracy, this thing has been incredibly accurate for 14.5. I don't expect, as I'm sure you do, as you go down from 18, 16, 14.5, 11.5, right? As you go down in barrel length, you expect less accuracy. And I was shooting earlier today, in fact, at 36 yards, and I mean, keeping a little tiny, like sub MOA group very easily with just a red dot. Now, I think lastly, as far as like what it comes with over and above a lot or most ARs out there, is this really nice set of steel backup iron sights. Now, I'll be honest, I've not used them at all because I've had this optic on from the beginning, and they're just too short for my taller riser on the SIG Romeo 7. But it is nice that these come with a really nice set of steel iron sights. You just don't find that in most guns. Most guns are just flat top, and they're like, fuck you, put on whatever you want. Now, this rifle made it into my top 5 favorite firearms of 2024, and it is on its way to being in the top 5 favorite firearms that I own. If somebody were to ask me about getting this rifle, I would not discourage them whatsoever. These come in at a price point. YouTube censors, I'm not selling it. Not selling it whatsoever. Just giving the viewer information they need to make the best decision possible. These come in at like $1,300. And I think at $1,300 price point, the only thing that I personally am going to change on this is the trigger. Again, I understand as a duty rifle having a bit heavier trigger in it, but with that said, for me, and what I'm using it for, I'm going to go ahead and put a little lighter trigger in a flat face trigger. But as a standalone unit for 99% of people that like a buy once, cry once, this is actually a really, really solid purchase. So before I go into my final thoughts, I want to give a quick shout out to Saguaro Slings. I have a couple of their slings in my inventory. They're made right up in Phoenix, Arizona. And if you're in the mood for a nice lightweight sling that's not like so thick and like grinds up against your neck and things like that, this is their padded sling. I also have their non-padded sling. Adjustable, works real nice. Check out Saguaro Slings. I'm going to leave a link to their Instagram and their website down below. Final thoughts on the Radical Defense Mark 1 Mod 1. I think it's a phenomenal rifle. I really do. I really don't have anything bad to say about it. It's held up great. It's not been cleaned. It's not been really oiled in the 1,000 rounds. Like I said, I think I oiled it once, and that was only because that was just to loosen it up a little bit because it was cold out that night, and the sludge that has built up in here got a little thick. But this has been absolutely great to shoot. I love shooting it. Almost no recoil. I can recommend this. Absolutely. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to Radical Defense for sending that out. It's great. It really is. And I expect this thing to last as long, if not longer, than my Radical Firearms rifle did, which is, I think I had to change the barrel on it at just around 20,000 rounds. So, and it still had all the Radical Firearms lower parts kit in it, like the springs and detents and things like that. I had changed the trigger and bolt carrier group along the way because I was testing them for companies. But I expect this thing to last a very, very long time. I think it's a really well-built rifle, and yeah, happy to have it. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you all later.